All right, hello everyone. Hello. Hi. Well, hello everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Kevin with Kinetic Real Estate. I'm so excited to see the speaker speaking and really get to learn what they're about and what they're, how they're doing in the business, especially in today's market. So thank you all for being in here. So I'm gonna bring the mic to our president, Juan, Ruan.
Awesome, welcome everyone. Can we give Kevin a round of applause? Yes. So we decided to put this panel together just to bring value to the marketplace, whether you're in real estate profession now or looking to get into real estate. The four speakers I'm super excited about are gonna be sharing some of their experiences in the current market on how they're winning. Every single one of them is having a ton of success right now with the current competition, as we all know. So with that said, I'm gonna bring them up and I'm gonna give you a quick background of each one of them, and then we can get started. So if I can have Leo Morales, I'll have you take a seat, and then we'll have Janice Lee, we'll have Ed Barreto and Miss Samantha Huang. Give them a round of applause. Thank you, every one of you, for joining us. And she's good, yes. Awesome, so I'll have a couple of microphones that they'll be passing around, but I'll give you a quick background of each one of them. I'll start with you, Leo. So Leo is in his third year in real estate. He started real estate when he was 22 years old, so he is fairly young and fairly new. However, he's done about 45 transactions over the last couple of years, and he is a Zillow Flex manager for our account. He's also a part of ARIA. He just got installed last week, and we're very excited for him as well. And he also is inspired and motivated to build this business in the first 2 years and accomplish his real estate dreams. So give it up for Leo. Next we have Janice. Janice is been involved in real estate for 17 years, is top 1% of all San Francisco Bay Area residential real estate agents, completed over 520 transactions in her career so far. Top 25 Coldwell banker in San Francisco, #1 agent in her Sunset office, and ranked number 11 nationwide in the ARIA. She graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in International Relations and Asian Studies. And since graduation, she's taken numerous real estate classes and marketing courses as well. Give her a round of applause, Ms. Janice. Thank you for joining us today. Next, we have Mr. Ed Barreto. He transitioned into real estate October of 2021. So literally very recently, over the last few months. Prior to joining Kinetic, he was in sales at a travel and leisure company. He was number 8 out of 3,000 there. And something that he's been able to accomplish here is that in the 5 months, he's at 22 transactions, 22 escrows in the last 5 months. February, which was last month, the shortest month of the year, he did 10 transactions. So he just represented a seller for a $4.5 million transaction in San Jose. He aspires to continue to grow and plans to start a team outside of real estate. Ed loves to travel, spend time with family and close friends. So give a round of applause for Ed. Last but not least, we have Miss Samantha Huang. She is a broker and manager at Corcoran Global Living, formerly known as Better Homes and Gardens. Grew up in San Francisco, and she's built her business cultivating her sphere of influence, referrals, and repeat business. In her career, she has been able to help her clients build wealth through real estate. She's also a mom of 3 over the last 4 years. So she has 3 kids under 4, right? Which is amazing, which she's still crushing it in the game, managing and mentoring new agents to reach their goals. Funny story, I actually met Samantha walking into one of her open houses last year. So she's definitely in the field and doing amazing things. So Give them all a round of applause as we get started. None of these speakers are paid, by the way, so they're volunteering their time to be here to share their knowledge. So first of all, let's get started. I have the first, by the way, my name is Juan. I am with Kinetic Real Estate as well. I'm not a real estate agent, so I just support, train, and help other agents have success. So first of all, if I can start with, how did you get started in real estate? So we'll go down the line. I'll have everyone share. I'm gonna have some questions that I have prepared, right? And if the conversation goes one way where we could dig deeper, we'll go that route. If not, we'll follow the questions. And at the end, we'll give some time for Q&A. Sounds good? Cool, so we'll start with you, Leo.
Hi guys. Hello?
Yeah, you just need to put it close to your mouth.
Hello. Yeah, so the way I got into real estate is that I started in 2019. Hello? Oh, I don't think it's working.
Is it on?
Testing.
Hello?
Mine works. Here, I'll pass you this.
Yo.
Can I give those? Yeah, can I see those?
It's like.
Hello.
Alright, cool.
Can you guys hear me now? Yes. Cool. So for me, I started in real estate about 2019. I was about 22 years old. At the time, I was a sales manager, the #1 sales manager for T-Mobile. And, I loved the job. It was fun, making good money. But I thought it wasn't for me. It wasn't for myself. And, instead of selling phones, I wanted to do something bigger for my life. And what did I think? Selling phones, selling homes. Right? And I also wanted to buy a home for my parents. So wanted to make that transition. So the way that I wanted to get into real estate is that being new in the business, you don't really know what you're doing. And the best way to push your growth and get there is finding a mentor, right? So when I was looking for a mentor, a lot of my friends were like, hey, you signed up this really successful realtor, their cell phone service. And I was like, oh, what's their name? It was Kevin Cruz. So when I was selling phones, I set up Kevin, his cell phone service, and I reached out to him on Instagram.
Wow.
So I reached out to him through Instagram. I got an interview with him, and now I'm here. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so once upon a time, I was a nonprofit gal. I ran after school programs and internship programs, taught English in China, worked in Vietnam. And that was 3 years of nonprofit work. And I was getting bored. I didn't think I could do much more except become an executive director. And I was like, okay, I don't think I want to just go there. So it was like either not nonprofit, but let's go to either corporate America. I'm going to do import export. I'm going to do real estate. So I chose real estate, and that's how I got. Well, and there's more. I think I bought a place in 2004. I'm really old, guys. So you guys were babies at that time. So when I bought a place, I graduated from college, and single mom, she always wanted to own a home. So she kind of pushed me and forced me to buy a house. And so, not getting paid much in nonprofit, I started doing open houses as well. And at the time, the agent said, Janice, you have a lot of potential, and that's not a compliment. And so I was like, okay, I'm trying to go to business school and, go corporate or real estate. So that's how I kind of transitioned into real estate. I was buying and selling my own deal, and it's like, all right, you got 3 months to either do or die. 3 months of savings. If I don't make it, I am gonna have to get a job. And at that time, we didn't have Uber and all of that, so we had to work 7 days a week and make it happen. That's how I got into real estate.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. It's so funny because it's not like, when we were younger, we all planned to be realtors, right? It's just there was a time in our lives when we're like, okay, it's time to make it happen. So
A little bit about me. So when I graduated from USF in 2012, I was actually working for Wyndham, and they were acquired by Travel and Leisure. So I ran the marketing team there for 4 years. I was a marketing manager, so I was just generating leads for their sales team. And then in 2016 is when I decided to go into sales. So I've actually been licensed since 2016, but this is my first year in residential real estate. I was doing vacation ownership sales back then. And the reason that I joined residential is because we all know what happened in 2020, right? COVID hit. I remember that time I was like, well, what the heck am I gonna do next? Because 2020 was going to be my banner year, you know? We called it GCI as well, you know, just to put it out there. You know, did 790 GCI with Wyndham back in 2019, and 2020 was going to be my absolute year. Like that was the year that I was gonna hit, you know, my big goal. And then March happened, literally 2 years ago from this month. And our office in San Francisco shut down. And I was like, I'm gonna really take this time to explore and figure it out. And real estate has always been in my mind. Like going residential has always been in my mind when I was, you know, back there since 2016. It's just kind of, it was when I was gonna make that jump. So, you know, I tried a lot of things in 2020. I shared on my Instagram that I did like 6 pivots. I tried so many things. I did, you know, software sales with Salesforce, you know, Verkada, actually did well. And then I was like, you know what, like, I have my license, I'm gonna go ahead and try residential. So the way that I got into Kinetic is I actually Googled like the power of social media. I was on Instagram one day, I was like, I'm just gonna type the Bay Area Realtor. I didn't put the. And then Kevin showed up. I was like, okay, this dude's like, well, let me look him up. And really was like admired like his background and his humble beginnings. And I think I followed a lot of people from the Kinetic real estate team before finally like, you know, making the move. So I messaged Kevin and I told him about my background. I think he hit me up right away. And then we met in the office in Daly City like the next day. And that's how I joined. And I don't regret it. It's awesome. I love it so far. And the culture at Kinetic has been really awesome. So that's how I got into residential real estate.
So I graduated college with a marketing degree, and back then, also, you know, when you graduate college, you look for a corporate job. And then my passion was in fashion, so I don't know how many of you guys remember the brand BB. They were based out of Brisbane, so I was in fashion merchandising. Really glamorous job, but that didn't pay too well. You got a lot of free stuff though. So one day I remember sitting in front of my boss and we had an annual review. We made all of our goals. We exceeded expectations. And I asked for a raise naturally, right? And she goes, well, you know, we have to, what was the word? Pay your dues. And you know, 10 years later you could be where I am. And I'm going, 10 years later? That's a long time from now. And I was really young. So it was really sad. I mean, it was funny, but it was really sad for me that night. I didn't get the raise. And I thought, what more could I do when we've made all these goals to get a 25-cent raise on the hour, I think it was. And so I really had a heart-to-heart with myself. And I needed a career change, I realized that, because all my friends were in tech or whatever it is, .com, whatever it is. They were doing really well. And I go, I can't survive with this salary and work 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. because there's some imports and exports and you know, that's international hours. My parents are starting to buy real estate at that time. And they say to me, they go, you have potential. And I'm thinking, really? Because, you know, they also tell me stories that this agent that they once upon a time worked with did 1 deal a year. And, you know, prices were a lot lower back then. I think this was in 2000, I forget. But, so that was always my fear of going into real estate was I was that agent that did 1 deal a year. But nonetheless, they introduced me to their realtor who worked for Better Homes and Garden Real Estate at that time, and the rest is history.
Awesome. Thank you. We have 3 microphones. It seems like only this one is. Oh, I think I know. He's probably these 2.
In the wrong channel.
No, the receiver's off, I think. All right, we're gonna work with 1 mic. Let's do it. So perfect. So thank you all. How many of you have potential? You can be sitting here too. But let's do it. So first of all, we all know that it's an incredibly competitive market right now. I mean, if you are involved in real estate or are a part of any part of the real estate transaction, whether mortgages, insurance, you know that it's a dogfight to win an offer. If you're helping sellers, it's amazing, right? However, there's something that they're doing a little bit different in order to win in the marketplace, and I want to dive into that. But what is the biggest challenge right now that you're having while competing or doing business in real estate? Anyone can go.
What's the biggest challenge? Well, if you work with buyers, there's multiple offers. So you have to get your offer accepted. So that's the challenge. And when I was trained in real estate, unless you're in escrow, you're unemployed. So as much as you think you're in the real estate business, you're unemployed. So really it's coaching your clients how to win in a multiple offer situation. They might think that you're pushing them to do something, but you also don't want to be blamed to not have coached them in the right direction 4, 5 losses later, because they're gone. How many agents are there in the Bay Area? 30,000? 30,000 maybe? I think it was 30,000.
Wow.
So if they're not working with you, there's somebody next to them that also is in the business.
Yeah, I agree. So the question is, like challenges that we're running into. It's definitely representing buyers is really, really challenging, like right now, and you have to be really, really creative because, just in San Jose, Foster City, and recent transactions that we've gotten into, houses are getting 40 plus offers sometimes, average is like 15 to 20. So I think, like what Samantha said, it's about coaching your client and making sure that you have that cadence, right? Like, if you lose an offer, you just have to get right up and, like lose an offer, schedule that meeting tomorrow, look for houses again, and make sure that they're in the positive headspace because it could be tough. Sometimes you show a home, they absolutely love it. You look at the comps and you bid above the comps and you still lose. Your heart is broken, their heart is broken. So you just want to make sure that, your headspace is there. And just keep the fight going. But creativity is so important in this market because you have to think about, it's like, if the listing agent told me, I've called this listing agent 5 times because I really want to put my best foot forward and say that, hey, like my client really loves this home. If they're telling you that you're competing with 20 other offers, what are you going to do that other realtors are not doing to really get that deal to the finish line? Wow. Right?
I think a lot of us, it's networking as well. So if I know Kimmy, Kimmy is probably gonna, help me out a little bit. Or like, you gotta start before the offer date is there.
Yeah.
You're calling, you're becoming friends and best friends, and you try to get some scoop. And then, even if you don't know them, like, if I don't know you, we're already friends already before we even make the offer. So you're selling your client already, and then, if you can, not always, your loan agent can call the listing agent or email them saying how amazing your client is. You have to do a kick-ass, excuse the French, offer package. So, making it easy. Don't send like 10 attachments in an offer, make it 1 attachment. Because if you're a listing agent, would you like to open 10 attachments and upload them while you're, So it's just, like we coach our clients, get them fully underwritten, pre-approved. And then if we lose, I try to find out what number we were out of 100 offers. I came in 50, oh God. All right. Next one, all right, we came in 6. And the hardest part is some of these properties people are paying 100, 200K over the highest comparable.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? So the clients are telling me, hey, it looks like we gotta pay 100, 150 more. I'm like, yeah, we came in 6 last time, we still didn't get it. So, I mean, it sucks, right? I'm not the market, I'm not the seller. You wanna buy a house, that property that just sold is gonna be the newest comp. So if that's the new comp, then you're gonna be paying the next highest comp. So good luck, let's try to get in contract.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that too, it's like, what's the toughest part right now is like the buyer's expectations. The way that I work is that I make sure our buyers are like very well prepared and they understand like, hey, how tough is the market? We're seeing 200K over asking, multiple offers on the property. And before we even put the offer, we have a coaching call, like, hey, here's our strategy, here's what we're gonna do. Even before like showing the home as well, like we make sure that they're fully prepared and understand what the price of the property would go for. So yeah, definitely the mindset of the buyer.
Awesome.
Thank you. So great. So that was kind of two questions in one, which was what is your biggest challenge and how you overcome it. So what I got out of it is build a relationship before the transaction even goes into the date of the offer, right? And set the new comp. Is that what I got? Awesome. So great. So what is the biggest career mistake that you've made that gave you the biggest lesson? Anyone go first?
I would go first.
I would say the big mistake that I've had in my career is, I would say two. It's the fear of failure. So, the fear of failure, you're never gonna go out and do it unless you actually go ahead and do it. My second one would be, actually that would be my number one. Yeah, so the fear of failure and just going out and doing it,
This was a tough one, because there's a lot, but I think the biggest mistake is not going to a manager or a broker who cares or where you have support. You gotta be somewhere where it jives with you. Because if you can be in a company where your coworkers and management is there to support you, I think it really helps you to do your business and not deal with all the BS in the background. So I think, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's, we wouldn't really call it a mistake, but maybe not taking the leap of faith like soon enough. Like I've always thought about, going into residential real estate. I was like, I should have, maybe done it like back when I was Leo's age, like at 22, But I'm so glad, I'm so glad that I did. Yeah, I think there's just so much opportunity in this industry that like in my last 5 months, I've learned so much, like, from the mentors that I've had and the people that I've had the opportunity to work with. It's like, wow, this is it. This is the industry, right? So I think I wouldn't call it a mistake, but, just kind of taking that leap of faith like sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking this. He took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking sooner. I would have gone into this industry
Yeah.
sooner.
Like 18.
I'm not sure if anyone has that opportunity. Yeah, maybe Benson, 18, okay? Great, so what is the biggest risk that you've taken?
I also pass.
All right, I guess I have the microphone. So I think the biggest risk that I've taken in my whole career of real estate is when I first fully transitioned into real estate. It was smack down middle of COVID. I went from like a 120K paying job and boom, quit my job. And then COVID happened, never had a deal for 6 months. But, I still took the leap of faith. I had the trust, and look at us now. We're at a panel. But, that was my, my biggest
Biggest risk.
Biggest risk.
Quitting a good paying job?
Okay, I really don't need a mic, but okay. I think when I first started, some of you guys are just amazing. I gotta learn from some of these young cats. But when I first started, the first few years was pretty rough. We weren't making 6 figures, we were making 5 figures. And I'm like, dude, I work 6-7 days a week, hella hours, and I must be making less than minimum wage. I'm like, what am I doing? 3 to 4 years in, I'm like, okay, should I still go get my master's degree? Let me go get my MBA. Should I go do that? Or go get a job and be a counselor making $80,000 at a government job And so, I reached out to a mentor and kind of talked out, what I was thinking. And they said, Janice, you really need to take more real estate classes and focus on building your business and stop trying to go to business school or whatever and become a counselor or whatever you're trying to do. You just need to focus. And so, these were some tough times, right? I got into business in 2006. I mean, this is like, 2010. I'm like, you don't know these prices. I was out in like San Leandro for 200 something thousand. I did everything because I didn't know when I was unemployed. I didn't know when I was gonna get paid next. So I had a mortgage. I had to, it's the push. You had to figure it out. So you figure it out, and I took some more real estate classes. I got a little bit more involved, met more agents, lovely people like you, and that's how I survived.
That's awesome. Yeah, biggest risk is probably just making that decision to just go into this full time. So that way it's like there's no turning back. Like I'm committed. It's a non-negotiable. I'm gonna make it happen no matter what, even though how many times I fail. Because I think, like what Leo said, I was working for Salesforce as an account executive. And back then, OTE was like 180K. And I was like, okay, I have two things I could do, because by then, Travel and Leisure office in San Francisco was already open, right? So the quote, you take X steps backwards to take how many steps forward? And I'm so glad that I did it, because I either could have stayed with Salesforce, doing well there, or I could have gone back to Travel and Leisure. But I made the decision that this is the time to make this leap, because going into residential real estate has been on my mind, so why would I wait? Might as well just do it now. And I think after I got into my first escrow, that's when I decided to just go absolutely full time, and it was a non-negotiable in my mind. Like, this is gonna happen, this is gonna work. If I fail 10 times, it's okay, I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah, those who know me, I'm really not a risk taker. So every move to even going into real estate was calculated. But what I will say is, I think, coming into real estate, the biggest fear people have is consistency and income. And if you are doing what you're supposed to do, what the coaches tell you to do, you are online generating your leads, or you're, cultivating your sphere, each year does get better than the next. I think the panel would agree with me that if you look at your year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10, each year does get better if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Lead generating 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week, there is a difference. So, whether you're doing 20 in the last month, it just gets better every year.
That's good news, Ed. 5 months in. Great, so how about, I'm gonna go off script. I'm gonna go off script because it seems very, very well prepared and poised. So I'm gonna throw a curveball here. If you can share us the toughest escrow you've had, and maybe a story behind how that went. I know a lot of you are dealing with many, many transactions at the same time. And what is something that you took out of that tough escrow that you do now regularly because of that one experience? Right? So what is your toughest escrow, meaning the toughest transaction that you walk the client through? And what is something that you do now on every transaction because of that one experience, right?
You have to read all the disclosures. In the beginning of my career, I did a lot of condos. And you know that if you have a $500,000 transaction versus a $5 million transaction, you do exactly the same work, if not more. That $500,000 condo, you did twice the work because there's twice as many disclosures to read. I helped those clients, and the listing, I was the buyer's agent. All the disclosures were there. And in the preliminary title report, it says one parking and 2 storages. And in the disclosures, the agent was adamant that there was 2 parking and no storages. Well, these doesn't match. I don't want to keep this a long, drawn-out story, but we got into contract because my client really liked the property. And they think that if somehow we can get those extra parking back on the prelim, because what the prelim says is supposed to be true, right? So we put a contingency on there. And I'm literally almost going into labor. In the hospital with my laptop, in the hospital bed. I'm in line to go into this C-section.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I got my laptop up, and we're still negotiating between two attorneys, buyer, seller, and myself. And I do have my away message prepared. And we won. We did. We ended up with 2 parkings and 2 storages. And it was because the seller that sold it previously, these buyers that bought the property didn't know they have 2 storages.
Wow.
Because the previous seller still had their stuff stored in it. And their intention was to not sell these 2 storages. And also the previous escrow company forgot to put an extra parking on the prelim.
Wow.
It was crazy. But after 60 days of being in escrow, we came out with 2 storages and 2 parking spots.
Wow.
So that teaches me and everyone that I work with, we have to read everything. Everything.
Yeah.
The baby was finally out. That was my first kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, first kid,
Yeah.
in labor, sitting in bed,
Yeah.
and still finishing a deal,
Trying to.
right? I think that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes in itself. On
Yeah.
over parking spaces, by the way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, right? Be meticulous, right? I'm actually running into one right now, and it's crazy because literally every escrow, you know, when you're new, you're like, oh, everybody's so dramatic. This escrow is hard, but it will happen. So this client that we're actually representing in South San Francisco, literally, I'm dealing with this right now, but it's gonna close. I promise you, it's gonna close because I believe it's gonna close. So he was supposed to sign.
Before you move forward, it's recorded, okay? So.
Yeah, no worries, nothing bad. Yeah, so he was supposed to sign, right? And he flew to Brazil before signing his documents. So we're trying to figure out how in the world he's going to sign in Brazil. So it's very stressful because the sellers actually, really need to close on time because they need those funds to purchase another investment property. So it's just navigating through it and just making sure that, you're building that strong relationship with the listing agent so that way their communication with the seller is solid as well. So fortunately, we were able to get an ETA, which is an extension of time addendum, and we're officially gonna close on Tuesday. The guy gets back from Brazil on Sunday, so I said, as soon as you leave customs, you're going to sign, and so we can close on time on Sunday, or Tuesday. And I think the other one is navigating a land deal. I find that transaction to be very, very rewarding because, we do residential, right? But my business partner, Kathy, and I actually went into a land deal in Union City, and we're like, what the heck? Like, we've never done a land deal, right? So I think in situations like that, it's just so important to be resourceful and really leverage the team. Because, for example, we haven't done a commercial real estate, transaction, so we really had to figure it out by reviewing all of the disclosures and making sure that we're partnering with the right people to make sure that we can get the deal down to the finish line.
There's a ton, but this one was a deal, it was a cash offer. I was representing the buyer. We're supposed to close in, 10 days. And I took the escrow, luckily, to a different title company, and they found another owner on there. But we're already in contract. And my client gave notice to move out, blah, blah, blah. We negotiated a rent back free, and it took a year to close this deal because the seller had to find the 2 other heirs or owners on title that the original title company did not find, and had to negotiate and do whatever they had to do to get the deal done. And so once they found these people, then we were able to close. So that was a really long escrow for a cash deal.
So what do you do? What do you do differently now?
Well, we usually prefer to use our preferred title person.
Mm-hmm.
So the agent on the other side is a really top agent as well. So now he normally says, this company would be convenient or preferred. And so it's good that we found the issue, but if we went with the original title company, they might not have found it, and title insurance got to kick in. And you guys need to figure it out, but, I mean, a year.
That's his point.
So go with your current title.
Preferably.
No, let title insurance kick in.
That's right.
Scam ever.
Yeah, so this one was definitely a tough situation. I represented the buyer, but there's a lot of high stakes, right? So I represented the buyer, the listing agent was selling, or the seller was selling 2 properties to purchase another property. In the middle of escrow, their credit dropped and their loan limit dropped. So it got a little crazy, didn't have much down payment. And the way we saved that deal was that we, sorry guys. The way we saved that deal is that we actually got gift from another family member that was a celebrity. So, yeah. So, got lucky.
Exactly what that file is. There.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'm trying to get into the nitty-gritty to find out what we can do. So, what do you think is something that you do today, daily, weekly, etc.? What is something that you're doing today that you feel is helping you win compared to the person sitting right next to you, not getting the results that you're getting right now? Right?
I mean, I think in this business, you get paid to pick up your phone. You know, just like Janice, it's a really relationship business, right? If I'm representing the seller, I group all of the buyer's agents in my phone. I mean, my database is here. I don't have anything else. I group all of the buyer's agents into a category. And I follow up with all of them to see who's going to be presenting an offer. Even in a multiple offer situation, I think communication is important. Maybe they'll write a higher offer because they like me, right? And I'll meet the seller's unrealistic expectations. But if I'm working with a buyer, then I'll call the listing agent. If I know the listing agent, great, we'll catch up. If I don't know the listing agent, we'll know each other by the time I submit the offer. So it's spending time on the phone. Sometimes by the end of the day, I lose my voice, depending on the day. So I think picking up the phone is really important in building relationships. And I didn't do this enough in the beginning. Actually, no, I did. In the beginning, I drove to, when I'm representing a buyer, I drove to the listing agent to present the offer in person. And sometimes my offer would get accepted because even if we weren't the highest offer. But we don't do that in today's market, especially post-COVID, but then the phone is that much more important.
Yeah, that's great. I think you just really have to be creative in this market. You know, so sharing some of the things that I do. Yes, I do call the listing agent multiple times because I think building that relationship is really, really important. And it's harder for me, honestly, like being first year in the business, because if you think about these listing agents, they already have such a big network. So it's like, who is this guy writing an offer on my house? You know what I mean? So kind of building that relationship and calling them is so important. But I also create cover letters for my clients. So I know that there's this whole talk about, love letters. I still make them write it. You know, I say something along the lines of, you just want to write something that's not going to make the seller be blamed for discrimination. Like, don't put your race and everything, but it's still fine to write those letters. So I still make them write it. And then in addition to that, I write a cover letter for them, like literally like a resume format, why my clients. I talk about why they're financially strong, why they love this house and kind of the offer details. And I submit that with my package. And I think negotiation is like absolute key in this business as well. It's like kind of figuring out, like, if you're the highest offer already, how do you persuade that listing agent to say that you shouldn't have to counter? Like, you should just take my offer because we put the highest and best. But if you're not the highest offer, if you're second and third, like, how do you convince them and persuade them why you should be, why you should be countered? I ran into this situation in Gilroy, in where we were literally second place, and this is a sphere. So my client's like, Ed, we really love this home. Please do everything to make it, to make it happen for us, right? So of course, me being the buyer's agent, it was my goal to make it happen for them. So we put an offer. There was, I believe, 7 offers, and we came in second place. So I had to not persuade, but really show the facts. Like, this is, proof of funds. My clients are financially strong. So I think we should be countered, right? So when we got countered, I actually got it up to a tie. And that night I was thinking, it's like, wow, like right this moment, this listing agent is presenting to the sellers, and the sellers are gonna have to decide who they're gonna pick, because the listing agent said down payment is the same, proof of funds is identical, so it's really a close tie. So how am I gonna show this seller that my clients like really, really love this home? So as a realtor, I wrote a letter to the seller and said that, hey, we brought it up to a tie. At this point, I think the person who should win is the one who's really gonna show you that they love your home and who you should sell it to. So yeah, just creative things we're doing in the market.
Amazing.
I think I do the same thing. I do an agent letter, why my clients are so amazing, why I'm so amazing, how we're gonna close it. And I still have my clients write love letters. And you know, if my clients are living at home for free, I mean, give them a free rent bag. It doesn't cost you money, but it's money in their pocket. So that's one thing to add on to it if you can. Yeah.
Cool, same thing with these guys. Do a love letter as well. But for me, it's like more about mentally preparing the buyer to either one, go up, two, add a rent back. But for me, it's mostly about preparation and making sure the buyer is like fully aware of how the market is and how you're gonna have to pivot to either go higher in price or, if you lose this offer, you have to keep going for the next one. So.
Awesome. Thank you. What is a day in the life of look like for you? I know it's probably different every day because we've got parents, we've got family, etc. But what is the life of a day in Samantha, life of the day in Janice Leo look like on a regular basis?
Do you want the coaching answer? Or reality?
No, we want the raw answer. I'm trying to get some juicy stuff out of this panel.
You know, it really, you wake up and you think that your day is planned and it's one way, and it really does change, pivot dramatically just depending on, whatever happens. It really shouldn't be like that, but unfortunately I haven't found a way to control my schedule. You're supposed to lead generate, and you're supposed to follow up, and protect your schedule. But if anyone can tell me how I can do that, I would love to. But for me, I drop off the kids, and I try to get into the office to get some emails and stuff done. And in between, when I'm driving to the office, I get all my phone calls out of the way. And then when I'm sitting down, then I'll try to lead generate if I'm not pulled another direction.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't been to the gym because that day is so hard to plan. I mean, you think you have it together and then you quickly realize that your day is constantly changing, because what if you have a client who's like so eager, they call you at 2 o'clock, hey, the offer deadline we just found out is at 5 o'clock, I really want to see this house, let's write the offer. You're gonna make it happen, and it's just all about like time management. But I think what I still do, to this day, and I shared this in the last panel, I went back to doing this when I went into residential is, one thing I'll never ever stop doing is like kind of setting your goals in the morning, wake up at a certain time, have my, post it, set my goals for the day, write my affirmations like with this journal that I have. So I think that's really important, but the day is constantly changing. I try to like every Sunday, there are things that are gonna happen in the week, whether it's an appraisal, final walkthrough, key handoff, and usually those things you already know, right? So by Sunday, I would have my calendar set, and then all of the holes in between, it's like, okay, Monday I have 2 hours here, so I'm gonna spend that time, prospecting. 5 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, I have some time, so I'm gonna do like a networking event, right? But just keeping those holes for the things that will come up, because throughout the week, things will definitely come up. So you can kind of plan it, and then you kind of can't plan it. It's hard to explain.
If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't happen for me. If I don't put it in, or there's no calendar invite, I will probably forget. My schedule is pretty random. I mean, I might wake up, check some emails, some text messages, scroll through Facebook, which I shouldn't, or like Instagram for you younger folks. And then, try to deal with all the issues that might come up, and then the phone rings and you have things planned, so unless I have an appraisal or an inspection or a listing appointment, if you can, I think I have the same problem as Samantha. If you can schedule your time or protect it for your lead generation or follow-up calls, then or X number per day, then you'll do more business. But if you're always reactive, which oftentimes happens to the best of us, then you may be missing some of the clients that you could close.
Yeah, so if you guys seen my calendar, it looks like a Christmas tree. Everything's color coordinated from when I wake up, when my day ends, when I recap. Just like you, Janice, I actually leave like time blocks of like office hours, when to prospect, even to my lunches. I have all my lunches, my family time. So I'm very organized with my calendar. Yeah. So gym, escrow control, breakfast, lunch, end of day recap, affirmations, what I'm grateful for. So everything's in my calendar. Yeah.
I gotta learn that.
Wow. That is great. How many of you feel a little bit better about yourself? Yeah, that's awesome. To know that, even though they don't have it all together, but they're still doing such big volumes of business is very encouraging, because I think that sometimes you can feel like, oh my goodness, the reason why I'm not having success is because all of these different reasons. But to know that, hey, if I actually prospect, if I actually build a relationship with a listing agent, if I just do the things that are most important, I can still be doing a lot of business without having it all figured out, right? Without having, the calendar looking like Leo's Google Calendar. It really is a Christmas tree, I've seen it. So cool, so let's do last question before we move on to Q&A. And if you were to start all over again, right? If you were to start all over again, this is month 1 in your real estate career. What is one piece of advice that you'd give yourself, or what is something that you'd tell yourself to your younger self?
Yeah, to not be a secret agent. In the beginning of my career, I felt that, geez, if I tell my friends and family that I'm in real estate, they're all gonna think that I want something from them. And, it was really hard for me to come out and say, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm in real estate. Now, if you put it out there, people want advice from you, they want to hear from you. So really not to be a secret agent sooner.
So I just started. So just continuing to conquer your limiting beliefs, I think is important. And I think ever since, I started like working 2012, like after graduating, just like, don't be comfortable, because the moment you start feeling comfortable, like you stop growing. So I always tell myself that if you no longer have a limiting belief, then you're being comfortable. So you always have to have something that you're like going after, and just be uncomfortable, because that's how you're gonna grow.
Amazing.
I think if I were to start all over again, there's probably a few things. Either I would be an assistant for a top agent and learn everything they're doing, or I would join a team or a company that provides a ton of training, and I would probably hire a coach. Or if your company has coaching, that's pretty important, because when you start, you don't know what you're doing. So if you create the habits of prospecting, following up, and calling, or door knocking, or whatever you do to get business, or open houses. There's all those different ways that you can get business. But are you doing that every Saturday, every Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever you're gonna do? If you can protect that time, because you're gonna think, oh, I have a deal, I'm so busy. Well, guess what? You go do that deal, and 3 months later, you don't have the next deal. Right? So you need to spend a certain percentage of your time continuing to nurture or try to get business. Then you got a portion of your time where you're doing all the stuff to close the deal, right? And then the stuff that's admin stuff that's like, preferably you could get someone else to do later. That's important. And then I don't know if you guys have staffing or transaction coordinators, but I did all my stuff for the first several years, like 4 years or whatever number of years. And I think my business really transformed when I hired an assistant or a transaction coordinator because I was so cheap. I did not want to pay you, I don't know, $500, whatever it costs now, an escrow. I'm like, dude, I could just hire an assistant or do it myself because I don't have $500. I need to keep that $500. But guess what? If I give that stuff to someone else that does that better, I have more time now to do business. But you don't think that when you're starting. So you're like, oh, I'm trying to protect every dollar. Like, I think I was too cheap to even go to an event because I'm like, I'm not going to pay $50 to go to that event. But guess what? You go to these things and you're going to learn. I mean, it's up to you what you take from it and what if you could pick one thing that you've listened to any event and you actually do it, which most of us don't, it would probably improve your business drastically. That was another, and then the last was, I think, a business planning. So if you don't know where you want to go, how are you going to get there? You can dream, like, if you're like, hey, I need to do, I don't know, 12 deals a year. So I need one a month. We're in March now. Did I do 3 deals yet? I'm behind. I need to work more. I need to do something. I need to catch up. So it's constantly pushing yourself if you have those goals written out. So I think, maybe 10 years, a long time ago now, I wrote a goal down. I looked at it like a few years after, like 3-4 years, it was like in a drawer somewhere. And I was like, okay, I wrote this goal. And at that time, I didn't even make, I think my goal was like to save 150,000 or 200,000. I didn't make that. But I wrote it on a piece of paper like, oh, I want to be able to save 150 or 200,000. And I didn't even think how I was going to do that. But then a few years later, I'm like, oh my God, I got that. I wanted this house. I wanted that. And then all those things happen, except all the education that you think you want to do. Some of that doesn't happen because you're like, oh, let me just do business. Sorry, I'm talking too long.
Awesome. No, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, so one thing I would probably tell myself when I first started real estate would be like, don't let your age determine your success. And what I mean by that is that, like, when I first started real estate, I always told myself, oh, I'm too young. No one wants to work with me, just because, I'm new, I'm young. As you know, real estate is a relationship business, and they don't really care about your age. They care about who you are, your relationship, and what you can provide for them. So I think don't worry about your age, just worry about the relationship.
Awesome. So we're going to give some time for Q&A. How many of you are grateful that this event was free? Right? Hey, yeah. Hey. Cool. So if you have any questions, if I can have, Gio, can you help me run the mic? Is that okay? If you have any questions, we'll run the mic. Let us know your name, what company you're with, and what is your question. If you're not with a company, it's fine. Just share your name, and we can ask any questions. Can you turn that on, Kevin, and try it? Here, I'll have you run this one. Questions? Raise your hand.
Hi guys.
Hello?
Hi. I'm Joe with Adapt Real Estate. My question for you four is, like, you guys work for big companies, but what are you guys doing on your own to pretty much expose your brand or yourself to the community and to other clients out there?
Check. Keep that mic out there. Anyone want to answer?
So I guess the way we brand ourselves is like very heavily on social media. So I love Instagram, I love Facebook. If you guys have me on Instagram, I post pretty much every single day. And that's how we get our leads and our new agents. So posting heavily on Instagram, posting reels, posting a bunch of stories, and then also tapping into like Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that. Yeah. For more exposure, for sure.
So I'm a little older, so I'm on the Facebook bandwagon because that's where my network is. So I probably need to get on the Instagram bandwagon. So I do Facebook because I can't go everywhere. And really I do it there, and you do all those tags and hashtags, and it's really to increase your SEO. So you hope you can be found online. I don't know where you guys are getting your leads, but I mean, a lot of my business is actually sphere of influence and referrals, but I do, get some from probably my online stuff or people that have been watching me for an eternity on Facebook that never like you. So I have had a client that probably followed me for 10 years. I have never seen them like any of my stuff. And then all of a sudden they asked me to sell their property.
Wow.
So you never know who's stalking you.
Yeah.
You just gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I think, so my lead sources right now is definitely sphere of influence and referrals. The second one would be Zillow, and then the third one would be open house. But from an exposure perspective, I think really committing to your social media. So for me, I know what my social media lead sources are. So top one is Instagram, and then LinkedIn, and then Facebook. So sometimes whenever I sell a home, right, I would post it on Instagram, then it's gonna go to Facebook, then it's gonna go to LinkedIn. So there was a time when I was like, okay, I'm getting a lot of traction from Instagram because a lot of my sphere of influence leads are, people that I went to college with or people that I worked with, during my undergrad years who are now reaching out. So you just never know what impact you're making, right? So there was a time when I was like, oh, LinkedIn's not working because I'm not getting a lot of responses there, but it's just staying committed to making sure that you're posting in all of those platforms. And I'm now starting to reach out to all of my LinkedIn connections and just letting them know that I'm doing, real estate. But social media cadence is so important. I have it, I don't want to say to the T, but if I sell a house, this is the gifts that I do, this is the post that I make, and what that post is going to, look like. And then the second thing is just networking events. Got to get better with that for me, but that's definitely something that I'm looking into next.
Well, with my networking, I probably echo Janice in the platforms, but I think I also heard from you, we're part of bigger companies, I think the company almost doesn't really matter. I mean, definitely pick a company that you identify with and has market share in the marketplace that you want to work in, because that's the open house you want to do, right? Okay, if you want to dominate San Mateo or Daly City, you want to be with a company that has market share in that space. That's going to be really important. Then how do you make yourself stand out? Well, then all the things that the guests have said.
Awesome. In order for us to get as many questions through as possible, every question will take 2 answers. And if you feel compelled to answer, feel free to call it out, okay?
Hi there, Adrian here. How confident do you feel when you receive an offer at one of your listings when it comes with somebody's name attached at the bottom of it that you happen to know?
It helps. I think Adrian's at B of A, so if I see a loan agent that I've met or worked with, I know that they can perform, then that helps if it's all things equal. Or all things equal is both agents are great and then it's down to the loan agent. So it's not just terms, it's other relationships. That's why you see Adrian everywhere.
Anyone else? Good? Good. Anyone else? Question? Yes? Brian, go ahead. You got the mic.
Oh, thank you. So my next question is, you guys are all top producers making a lot of money.
Who are you?
Oh, my name is Brian Trent with 50 Hills Real Estate out in San Francisco, but I want to know, what are you guys investing in next? Is it real estate or something else?
Investing question.
For me, it's always real estate. I don't know anything else.
Yeah. So, obviously, so we have our primary residence, right? I just bought a home for my parents, so that's like a real estate investment. And then we also invest in the Philippines, so we have 3 condos there that we're probably gonna turn into an Airbnb business. So we actually bought that, pre-selling. One is already done and the other 2 are about to be built. I do like being, just starting, I want to continue making good money so I can invest in more real estate and hopefully get into flips and long-term holds, one of these days. And also stocks, just mixing it up.
I want to be your client in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Can you help me run an Airbnb there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Real estate first. A lot of times we're trying to build wealth for all of our clients. Don't forget about you. don't forget about buying a property. You stretch a little. It's, you know, we do well doing commissions, but you're not gonna work forever.
Yeah.
You're gonna need some passive income or it's not that passive. You're gonna need some income from your rental property, or buy a property, partner with your contractors, if you're working with developers. Do those things because you gotta do it for them and yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, this is like financial planning, right? But you got to put your money in your SEP. If you're not making a ton of money, which I wish I did, put money in your Roth. I put money in stocks more so recently. I think putting it on Vanguard or your financial planner probably did better than my own stock picks. But you know, sometimes you got to take a risk. I do want to learn a little bit more about crypto. I'm not all there, but you know, someone said, hey, you know, throw some in this stock, or crypto. I'm like, all right, I mean, throw what you don't mind losing. So if you don't mind losing $1,000, maybe I'll be one of those dog coins or whatever that like you put 1,000. Did you read that article? $1,000 is like worth $1 million or 10 million or whatever million. I'm like, maybe I'll have one of those coins.
It's a Chihuahua Inu.
So right now, what I'm investing into is Flips and KC, that guy. But that's it right now. Case stocks and real estate. So.
Great. That was a great question. Tajay?
My name is Jay. I'm with Kinetic Real Estate. I just want to know how, in the moments where you guys feel more discouraged or business might be really slow, how you keep your motivation and your confidence in this business.
I would say one way that I keep motivation and focus is that, you know, I have family. So like I write down like what I'm grateful at night, what I'm grateful in the morning, and that's what keeps me motivated.
I think you gotta look at how hard you're working. Are you doing the activities that you're supposed to be doing? So if you're doing the activities like, oh, I'm gonna call or text or whatever, 5 people a day, 10 people a day. If you do that and you're making your calls and you're writing notes, if you do any of that, then the business should come if you're doing the activities you're supposed to be doing. So if you're just moping around thinking, oh my God, I got no business, I'm so sad. Well, nothing's gonna happen if you don't do what you need to do. Do you have kids? If you don't, you should be working harder than the person that's been in business for like 10 years or who's doing like 20 deals in like 3 months. Like, I mean, he must be like working 1 million hours a day. So what are you doing compared to what they're doing? How effective are you? Are you doing things at 3 times slower speed than the next person? Well, then if you are, then you need to work 3 times harder.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is like I said this in one of the trainings. You might not be able to control conversion right away, but you can always control activity. So all of the things that you're doing on a daily basis, like how many calls you're going to make, how many open house sessions you're going to do, you know, how many showings you're going to commit to, right? That's activity. So make your activity goals a non-negotiable, and then conversion will come. Because celebrating the small wins is so important, and you just got to realize that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So things are going to take time. But yeah, celebrate the small wins and manage activity. Don't focus too much on conversion because it'll come.
Question? Someone else? Anyone else? You guys sure? All right, one in the back. Mr. Kevin Cruz.
Hello, everyone. Kevin. This is one question for Janice.
Oh, God.
Who are you? Who are you?
Oh, I already. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin with Kinetic Real Estate.
I've got to deal with Kevin. The relationship helps.
Yes. What do you think is going to happen in the market since you've seen the market, you know, up and down?
Yeah, answer that.
More than, you know, most of us over here.
Wow.
Enlighten us, Janice. Enlighten us.
You know what? The market's going to be the market. You're going to be able to do business whether the market's up or down. You just have to pivot. So it's like, you know, it's a different kind of conversation when you have with your clients. There's enough business. Like he said, you do the activity, the business will come. So, I mean, rates are gonna be rates, it's still all-time lows. I mean, so what if it's 4.5%? I mean, not great, I mean, I love 2.5%.
Where have you seen it? Where have you seen it? Let us know.
My first place was 6 point something percent 5-year ARM. The first place that I bought was a ARM, and it was 6 point something percent. So, you know, it's, I mean, obviously it's not 18% like some of the, you know, dinosaurs, but, I mean, but like, the market is, we've been on an upswing for a very long time. It typically is supposed to like change every 7 to 10 years. It's been a very long time, but I mean, save your money. Go buy a property if you don't have one yet. Save it so you're ready to go. Get your loan pre-approval. Do what you tell your clients. Get underwritten pre-approved. So when you see a good deal, you can jump.
Wow, that's great.
Or write non-contingent and then
Well, let's ask Samantha, because she's been.
Yeah, let's ask Samantha. She's been 10th year in the game. Let us know. What are your thoughts?
I believe in the market. I think it's really strong. It's funny. I just have funny stories. You know, I have a agent that I look up to. You know, the person that helped my parents purchase real estate, and I talked to him about goals because, you know, unlike a lot of agents, I should set goals, but sometimes I'm too busy to even post on social media, so I don't. But then I asked him. I said, you know, what about you? Do you set goals? And you know, he's been in this business probably 20 some odd years, and he says, no. But I found a goal paper that I did maybe 10, 15 years ago. And on there it says, buy one property every year. And I think he's done that. This guy's wealthy. And he sits in the office, he does a deal here and there, but still gets platinum awards and you know, owns a bunch of properties. I think that's something to be admired. So I think I'll make that my goal.
One property a year. That is, who wants to be the wealthy guy sitting at the office doing whatever they want?
Hey, you know, can't blame
Or gal.
Up
Let's
or
know.
down, buy one property.
Yeah, up or down, buy one property a year. It's like stocks, right?
That I don't know.
Questions? Any other questions? I'll take one more question.
You guys a shot?
Oh, Brian is buying us shots. The whole room?
my God.
Oh, now we're thinking about it. I'll take one more question. Let's do one more question. Anyone have a great question? Tien.
How big is your guys' team, or are you guys? Hi, I'm Tien. I'm with Kinetic Real Estate.
Hi,
How
Chloe.
big is your team, or are you guys individual agents?
I manage an office, so my team is 35. But in terms of individual business, I do have my own business as well as mentoring the 35 agents that we have.
How do you do it?
Oh, well, I'm with Kinetic. How big is our team? Like maybe 50 agents, but I don't know. I really, really love it at Kinetic. I think I've shared this in my interview with Kevin. It's one of those things where everybody will say the culture is awesome, but you have to like be in that culture to really know. But I think the resources that we have is so awesome from our transaction coordinator, from leadership, and all of the fun things that we get to do. It's like a family. But yeah, our team is 50 and it's great.
You don't have a choice. You have to pay for transaction coordinator. We don't let you do it here.
It's worth it.
It's me, and I have a transaction coordinator, thank goodness, and marketing coordinator, and a runner that, you know, puts up lock boxes or whatever I need. So I'm the sole agent. I don't really have a team. So yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Can I ask what your marketing coordinator does?
So I do my marketing text on Google Text, so I just share what I write, or if they can put something on there, then I could just edit and add and do whatever I need to do. And then that gets shared to the marketing people, whoever designs the flyers and all of that. So it all gets done, the photos get done, they figure it all out, and then I look at the marketing brochures or flyers and make sure it's how I want it, and then it gets printed, and then I just go pick it up.
Wow.
And then it's done.
Is that a physical person or a virtual?
There's the office person is I don't Coldwell Banker pays. And then the other person's, I guess you could say virtual. I mean, we don't go into the office. I mean, I don't go into the office. You probably wouldn't see me anyway. So they upload the text onto MLS. They get that all set up, and I go in and double check, make sure everything's right, and then it gets launched. They make sure they do whatever social media stuff that needs to be done, or if you post on Instagram or Craigslist or Facebook or whatever. They do all of that so that, and then, of course, there's also consistency is important, but sometimes we need to get better at that. So, yeah, that's what. I have a question for him, actually.
Oh, let's go. Panel question. Let's do it.
I mean, I'm actually quite impressed, with everyone on this panel, but, specifically the two folks who've been in this business for like less than 5 months and 2 years, they are doing crazy number of deals, right? So they talked about getting business on Instagram. Like, what else are you guys doing to get all your leads? Because, there's a lot of young folks here. They all could learn, because there's more than enough business for all of us. We all have different networks. Like, most of the time, we don't compete against each other. So what are you guys doing?
What else do you do besides being handsome? Let's go.
Yeah.
So the way we get our leads.
Yeah.
So I myself have 10 agents under my team. All of them are relatively new. They're from 1 year to 6 months to let alone 2 months. A lot of the leads that they're getting is either from Instagram, social media, but they also hone into their sphere. So like, say if they have a hobby like poker, they tap into that, go through the games, and hopefully get a lead from it. So, yeah. So going to their hobbies.
Hobbies.
Yeah, I think a coach once told me, kind of pick, Kevin shared this with me too, pick your top lead sources and just kind of run with it. So I kind of have those macro goals and then my micro goals based on the lead source. So for example, what's cool about Kinetic is we're partnered with Zillow, right? So each agent will get about 10 to 15 leads a month. So I just have it in my mind that no matter what happens, you have to close one Zillow deal. It's 10% conversion. If you get 10 leads, you close one, right? If you get 15 leads, you close one. It's about 7%. So I make it a commitment to get one Zillow deal a month. And then open house, I commit to activity. For example, the cool thing about having a big team is we have so many listings, right? So the open house opportunity is there. So before the month starts, I would usually say this month I'm gonna get 20 open house leads no matter what. And then I bucket my leads, seller leads, people who come to an open house with no, realtor and whatnot. And then out of that 20, I just say I just need to convert one. It's the power of one. Get one Zillow lead, one Zillow deal a month, one open house deal a month, and then Sphere. And then we also have Ojo and a lot of other lead sources, but those are my top three, sphere of influence, strategizing how I'm gonna get that open house deal and that Zillow deal each month, and just leveraging the team.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you, every single one of you, so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. So how can people connect with you, reach out to you, best communicate with you, whatever the case may be, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, email, number, whatever the case may be? What is the best way to reach out to you?
All the above. Just text me, call me, or email me, or connect.
How do they find you?
Me on social media. So by Samantha H@gmail.com, or Sammy H608 for my handle. I didn't do a business one.
So probably Instagram. My handle is Barreto, my last name BARRETO_25. Follow me. Or you can call me, 408-332-1700.
That's how you do 20 deals in 5 months, y'all. Give your number
text
out,
me right
whatever.
now. Just kidding.
You can call me too. 415-832-9151, or text me. I'm also on Facebook, Janice Lee, I believe, or Janice Lee, you can look me up. And Instagram, I'm Janice Flee, Janice, F as in Frank, Lee. And I don't go on LinkedIn as often, but LinkedIn too.
You guys can follow me on Instagram, leo.morales.r.
Amazing. So again, can we give every single one of these speakers a big, big round of applause? Like I shared, this is straight up a volunteer event. They decided to just contribute their time to share their knowledge and what they're doing. And thank you for being so transparent, vulnerable with everything that you shared. I think that every single one of you are inspiration to everyone in this room, even myself, on how much you've been able to do in business. But also family-wise, right? Having 3 kids under 4. Yeah, I'm prophesying the next one. 3. She doesn't want it. She wants more houses, not more kids. So just thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much. We will be sending you something to your emails, so be on the lookout for that. And if you have time, please hang out. We have the room for another hour. There's pizza, there's iced tea, there's water in the back. If you want to validate your parking, there's a QR code on the table here in the back for you to pay $10 for the parking rather than 30 something, I think. So yes, thank you all for coming. Thank you for being a part of it and joining us. Have a great week, and thank you all so much.